Hello and welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministry, and we're glad that you've joined us this evening for Music Minute, our chance to look at hymnody for tomorrow's worship. We are going to start with gathering for tomorrow is Gather Us In. And do you know the genesis for this hymn? It actually was the hymn 524, What is This Place, in our hymnal, and it was the intentional use of the very structural images of that hymn, which talked about very concrete images, that intrigued Marty Haugen, who then wanted to experiment with what that would do in an American level, looking not to structure, but more to the flesh and the bone becoming together in worship. And the tune itself has an interesting little tidbit. For the music fans among us, the tune looks like it's written in the key of D major. However, if you study it a little bit more, and without getting into all the details, I will just leave it that it is deceptive. And while it does appear that it's in D major, it actually is not written in D major. I won't get into the modal qualities of all that, that's for another day, but we're going to do this organ version of Gather Us In. So the doors are open. Next we're going to move back to the piano, and this is Take My Life That I May Be. It's another English tune, although it's going to be presented in Latin style. It was around the mid-1900s, and it was translated into Spanish. So the English order of stanzas actually doesn't match the Spanish translation order of those stanzas, which is kind of odd. There's another difference. In the original, the characteristics of the body parts are lined up in a list. So there are take my life, moments, hands, feet, voice, etc. Very structured list. In this version, everything is mixed up. So it's suggesting that the whole is celebrated in this dancing swirl. And the music was then created to capture that dancing swirl. So we're going to move over to the piano for this and see if I can capture a little bit of the dancing swirl, maybe. We'll see. It's actually a slower version of it. As I said a couple weeks ago, I like to get things in there that are a little bit different so that you maybe hear it a little bit differently than you would when you sing it. Take my life that I may be. So, Toma o Dios mi voluntad, for those that would like the Spanish version. All right, last but not least will be Rejoice Ye Pure in Heart. And I'm going to stay on the piano for this one, not something I would typically do. This really lends itself to the organ, which you can hear or experience in person tomorrow. And this is actually a hymn of pilgrimage. And it's also from England, and it was actually for the procession of the Peterborough Choral Festival in Cambridgeshire, England. And the hymn has been called Pedestrian, which ends up being quite true, because it's really a hymn for quite literally going on foot, hence pedestrian. And that pilgrimage is at the heart of this text. I think the first appearance of this hymn in the United States was when it was sung in Trinity Episcopal Church in New York City in and around 1887. It was a Jubilee service celebrating the 50th anniversary of Victoria as Queen. So this is Rejoice Ye Pure in Heart. I bet you recognize that. All right, as I said, if you'd like to hear the organ version of that tomorrow, come join us in person at 8:30 or 10:30 in the sanctuary. Again, remembering that your masks are needed. And for, actually that's not true. I will not be here tomorrow, so you will not hear the organ version. But if you're online, you will hear the organ version, which would be on YouTube at 10:30. So piano version again at the in-person, and organ on the online. Thanks again for joining us tonight, and we'll look forward to talking again next week.